What happens when a cop with unchecked power crosses paths with a woman who outranks him, in title, in poise, and in principle? What started as a routine traffic stop turned into a courtroom showdown that shook the system. And it all began on a quiet Wednesday night. It was late, just after 11 p.m. in Toledo, Ohio, the kind of hour when the roads are mostly silent, save for the hum of a lone truck or the flicker of a street lamp. Lieutenant Colonel Adrienne Wallace was heading home, fresh off a long strategy session at her base 2 hours south. She was in her black government-issued SUV, clean, discreet, nothing flashy. Just like her, she drove steady, no speeding, no swerving. Just a focused woman making her way home. But someone else saw something different. Sergeant Daniel Mercer sat parked off Reynolds Road, sipping stale coffee, scrolling aimlessly through his phone. His shift had been dead quiet, boring, and that's when he spotted her vehicle. Unfamiliar. The boredom cracked. He tossed the cup, flipped on his lights, and hit the gas. Adrienne noticed the cruiser and calmly pulled to the side.
No panique, no nerves.
Just like she'd been trained. The patrol car door slammed behind him. Heavy boots approached. He skipped the passenger side and walked right up to her. "License and registration," he barked. No greeting. Adrienne kept her hands visible. Window halfway down. "Officer, may I ask why I'm being stopped?" He aimed his flashlight into her face. "You were drifting between lanes. No signal. Might be impaired." She arched a brow. "I wasn't." "License and registration," he repeated louder. Adrienne moved slowly, precisely. "Glove box, ID, registration." "This is a government vehicle. I'm a federal employee." He glanced at the ID, then smirked. "Military? Yes. Doesn't put you above the law." "I never said it did." His tone hardened. "Step out of the vehicle." "Excuse me? I'm conducting a sobriety check." "Step out." Adrienne stayed calm. "I've complied. I haven't been drinking. May I ask the grounds?" Mercer stepped closer. "You refusing a lawful order?" She didn't flinch. "I'm asking for clarification." He didn't like that. He opened her door himself. "Out now." That's when she pressed record on her phone. "For the record," she said evenly, "this interaction is being documented." He noticed the phone, just a flicker of doubt in his eyes. But he didn't back off. She stepped out, calm, composed, her body language saying more than words ever could. Even in plain clothes, she carried herself with undeniable command. Mercer hesitated, a whisper of uncertainty. Still, he pressed on, made her walk a straight line under the streetlights. She aced it. No stumble, no slur. Still, he issued a citation, failure to maintain lane. She took it, quietly, with a look that said everything. Mercer had no clue that ticket was about to explode in a courtroom. 15 years on the force had made Mercer sharp, blunt, and stubborn. His reputation was one of dominance. He didn't ask. He ordered. Rookies feared him. Supervisors tolerated him. No one questioned him. Until that night. Back at the station, he logged the stop. Routine. No big deal. He dropped off the bodycam footage and moved on. In the break room, he laughed it off. Some woman flashed a federal ID like that was supposed to mean something, he told Officer Diaz. "Wait," Diaz said. "She was military?" Mercer shrugged. "Claimed to be." Diaz paused. "Wallace? Adrienne Wallace?" Mercer looked up. "Yeah, why?" "She gave a lecture at the academy last year," Diaz said slowly.
Lieutenant-colonel.
Bronze Star. 2 deployments. She's the real deal. Mercer waved it off. "Don't care who she is. I give the orders." But Diaz's tone stuck with him. Quiet respect. A note of warning.
Still, Mercer didn't review the footage. Didn't think about the ticket. He thought it was over. It wasn't. Adrienne had filed a complaint, first with Internal Affairs, then the Inspector General. She wasn't alone. Her recorded footage was already in the hands of military legal teams, and Mercer? Back to barking at civilians, carrying himself like a man untouchable. He believed the system would protect him. It always had. But Adrienne wasn't just any motorist. She'd led troops through war zones, organized humanitarian missions, and mentored hundreds. She'd seen too many people like Mercer misuse their power. This time, she wasn't staying quiet. The next morning, at Fort Wayne, she sat in her office. Tired, not from the night, but from the weight of injustice. Her aide walked in. "You okay, ma'am?" "No, but I'm handling it." He nodded. You want the base attorney? Already done. You sure you want to go public? I don't want headlines. I want a counta. Her rank wasn't just a title. It was earned. It was lived. And now it was being used not for pride, but for protection. The footage, already with her lawyer. The complaint, filed and climbing. Mercer didn't realize anything until the envelope landed on his desk. Plain, Manila, with a return address from Lucas County Civil Court. He laughed at first. This won't stick. But when he returned to the station, his captain was waiting. Dan, we need to talk. She's trying to play the victim, Mercer scoffed. She's not playing anything, the captain said. She's a decorated officer, with 2 angles of video. This isn't going away. Mercer rolled his eyes. So what? She didn't get arrested. I didn't lay a hand on her. You're being called to court, Dan, and when this gets out, and it will, it's going to blow up. You were on edge, Dan. You escalated. You treated her like a suspect before you even knew her name. Mercer bit his lip. For once, no sarcastic comeback, no smirk, just silence. The court date was 3 weeks out, but the fallout came fast. Whispers floated through the department like smoke. Locker room stares, hallway glances. No one said anything, but Mercer could feel it. The shift. He wasn't the alpha anymore. He was bleeding, and the pack could smell it. Meanwhile, at Fort Wayne, Adrian was preparing. But not for a fight. For the truth. No press conferences, no loud declarations. Just quiet meetings with her legal team. A detailed review of every second of footage, and a meticulous recounting of what happened. Calm. Collected. Relentless. Her attorney, Delaney Price, sat across from her. You sure you want this public? Delaney asked. Court's a spotlight. Once it's out there, it's out there. Adrian nodded. Good. Adrian didn't blink. I've let too much go already. This isn't just about me. She didn't want a check. She wanted a record, a moment that could be cited. A flag planted in the ground that said power does not excuse behavior, and silence is not the only option. She wasn't just standing for herself. She stood for every voice drowned out behind a badge and flashing lights. And when the day came, she didn't walk in quietly. She walked into that courtroom in full dress uniform, medals polished, stripes precise, rank gleaming on her chest like a challenge. She wasn't just the woman pulled over that night. She was a veteran, a leader, a human being who had upheld the law, and now demanded the same in return. Mercer was already seated. He turned, saw her, and for the first time, his smirk cracked. But the real trial hadn't started. Not yet. Because when Adrian Wallace took the stand, the room leaned in. The gallery wasn't packed with media. Not yet. But it was filled with officers, local police, Fort Wayne soldiers, some in uniform, some in suits, all silent, all watching. Civilians sat beside them, unsure of what they'd walked into. To some, it was just a traffic stop gone sideways. But for Adrian, it was the final drop in a bucket that had been filling for years. Mercer sat like a statue, his lawyer whispering in his ear. He didn't move, just stared at the judge. Then Adrian was called. She stood, straightened her collar, walked to the witness stand like she'd led convoys through hostile zones, steady, purposeful, unshaken. Her ribbons caught the light. Her posture commanded attention, not because of the uniform, but because of who she was. The judge cleared his throat. Colonel Wallace, thank you for your service. You may proceed. Delaney Price stood. Lieutenant Colonel, can you walk us through the night of January 17th? Adrian's voice was even, clear. I was returning from a meeting at the Indiana Guard Reserve. Around 11:15 p.m., Officer Mercer pulled me over. I was not speeding. I wasn't impaired. I was compliant and asked reasonable questions. He responded with hostility. No edge, just fact. He ordered me out of the vehicle without cause. When I asked why, he repeated the demand, louder. At that point, I turned on my phone and began recording. Did you refuse a lawful order? No. Did you resist? No. Did you identify yourself? Yes. I stated I was a federal employee driving a government vehicle. The courtroom was dead silent. Just her voice and the scribble of pens. Then the footage played. First, her phone. Clear, unshaken, unforgiving. Then, Mercer's body cam. Every detail on display. His stance, his tone, his hand hovering by his weapon even when she was calm and compliant. The unnecessary sobriety test. The dismissive tone when she passed it. No one spoke. No one had to. The energy in the room shifted. Then came cross-examination. Mercer's lawyer approached slowly, respectful but probing. Lieutenant Colonel Wallace, is it possible Officer Mercer was simply following procedure? No. Could he have believed there was a safety concern? I was sober, calm, obeying traffic laws. There was no threat. And yet you recorded the stop? Adrian met his gaze. Because I've lived long enough to know silence isn't protection. I wanted truth on record. The lawyer tilted his head. So you don't believe officers should have discretion? I believe discretion must come with discipline. A badge isn't a pass. It's a responsibility. That line hit. Even the judge sat back for a beat. Then came Mercer's turn, not to speak, but to watch. The footage rolled again, frame by frame. Each clipped word, each glance that said, "You don't matter." The prosecutor stepped forward. Sergeant Mercer, why did you ask her to exit the vehicle? She looked evasive. Did she disobey? She questioned me. Is questioning illegal? No. Did she raise her voice? Threaten you? No. So why escalate? No answer. Sergeant Mercer, were you aware she was a lieutenant colonel? No, not at the time. And if you had known? Mercer hesitated. I probably would have handled it differently. There it was. Not remorse, not growth, just the bare truth. He hadn't seen a person, just someone who didn't move fast enough, didn't speak the way he liked, someone who didn't submit. But now, everyone could see it. 3 days later, the verdict came in. The room was smaller this time. No uniforms. Just Adrian, her lawyer, and a few quiet observers. Mercer sat rigid, trying to maintain that blank mask, but his jaw clenched slightly, like he was grinding his teeth without realizing it. Judge Morales read the decision. In the matter of Wallace versus Mercer, the jury finds in favor of the plaintiff. Mercer shifted. Adrian didn't move. The court recognizes a violation of constitutional rights and further finds that Sergeant Mercer's conduct failed to meet professional standards. No applause, just gravity. While no criminal charges will be filed, the plaintiff is awarded $35,000 in damages. This decision will remain on public record and will be forwarded to the Department of Justice and the Toledo Police Department for review. Delaney leaned over. You could have asked for more. Adrian shook her head. It was never about the money. Think it'll change anything? Adrian looked toward the doors. I don't know. But maybe next time he pulls someone over, he'll think twice. A week later, Mercer was placed on administrative leave. No official word yet. Some said reassignment. Others whispered it was the beginning of the end. Either way, the shield he'd hidden behind was cracked wide open, and everyone could see it. At Fort Wayne, Adrian returned to her post like nothing had happened. She wasn't interested in interviews or headlines. She had soldiers to train, missions to plan, responsibilities to meet. But the message was clear. You don't have to yell to demand respect. You don't have to break to prove you were wronged. Sometimes the quietest stance echoes the loudest. And still, Adrian knew this wasn't the end. Because accountability isn't the destination. It's the start of something bigger. 2 months later, she stood in front of a room of fresh recruits. No talk of tactics today. No briefings, just leadership. The kind that matters when no one's watching. She asked, "How many of you think this uniform automatically earns you respect?" A few hands went up, some unsure, some confident. "I get it," she said, "but here's the truth. Respect isn't owed. It's proven. She let that sit. Same goes for power. That badge, that rank, it's not a shield. It's a weight. And if you can't carry it with discipline, you don't deserve it. In the back, a young soldier leaned forward. Adrian met the room with her eyes. When I was stopped by an officer who forgot that, I could have screamed, panicked, let it slide. I did none of those things. She paused. I documented. I filed. I stood my ground in court. And I told the truth. A long breath. That officer thought his badge made him untouchable until he saw my rank. Not just on my chest, but in how I carried myself. That is leadership. If this story moved you, share it. Let it be a reminder that justice doesn't always come with noise, but it always starts with courage. Subscribe for more true stories that demand to be heard, and remember, silence protects the powerful, but your voice, that protects the rest of us.